Hello, this is Friedemann. In this video I'll give you just a few inspirations to get the best out of the 2BusControl. Because of the simplicity of this freebie plugin, it's easy to overlook the useful things you could use the 2BusControl for during your daily audio engineering tasks. 2BusControl is actually more useful than you would think on the first glance. You've got your drums delivered in drummer's perspective, but you aren't sure if it's possibly better in audience perspective. Insert 2BusControl on the drum's bass or group and simply toggle with the flip button to see what feels better in the mix. You've got a whole lot of instruments in your mix, guitars, keyboards, strings and all that stuff, and you're not sure about the best panning distribution. When your mix is almost set, play around with the flip button by inserting 2BusControl on the instrument's buses of question, for example on the guitars group, and feel what happens if you swap left and right. Do instruments blend better or more complementary into each other just by swapping left and right or particular instruments or instrument groups? It's a quick way to check alternatives without twisting the whole mix up. You find left-right of your overhead track you have received for mixing is swapped, so that you need to flip it in order to match the hi-hat track itself, which is panned slightly right. Just insert 2BusControl and push the flip button and go for it. You have a high chance that you hear different with your left and right ear, as this is absolutely normal and based on the physiology of your ears. You also have a high chance that your left and right speakers are not 100% matched. These two buttons get around this pitfall by allowing you to distribute either the left or right channel equally to the phantom center. This is actually the prerequisite to compare the sound image of your left channel with the right channel of your mix, and will allow you to track problems like an overemphasized frequency area or a harsh high frequency event just on one channel. In turn, it allows you to target such problems more precisely. If you figure out that just the crash on the right channel causes your headache, you can solve it just on the right channel instead of treating both channels equally. Using the left and right buttons of the 2BusControl on your actual 2Bus is a great quick check. When you're already almost done with the mix, it is a helpful step to find useful hints to enhance an equal frequency distribution between left and right. I often receive stereo tracks for mixing which are actually mono but spread on a stereo track. Sometimes it even happens that these tracks are a bit off-center because your client has something messed up. If it's the kick and you solo your stereo kick track, the balance meter will instantly indicate that it's off-center. But you want to have the kick, the snare, the bass and that kind of stuff always stick 100% in the center. Insert a 2BusControl in that particular track and hit the mono button and just go for it. Your kick sits instantly 100% in the center. In this case, the balance meter won't confirm that because it's pre-buttons. The main purpose of the mono button is actually when the 2-bus control is used on the 2-bus where it is intended to be used mostly. The correlation bar graph and the mono button build a kind of unity. While the bar graph warns you to check mono compatibility, when going into the red zone, you want to use the mono button to check if the red correlation really means bad phase cancellation or okayish phase cancellation. Let's say you figure out that your overhead track is causing the correlation meter to turn into red when you solo the overhead track. You can use the mono button to hear the amount of actual phase cancellation, and when you think it's too much, simply drag the pan of the overhead a bit midwards, like 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock-ish. A next use case could be a super stereo bass, let's say one of the Spectrasonics Trillion library. This will often cause the correlation meter to go into the red. If pressing mono causes the bass to lose fundament, it's time to act. Reducing stereo width helps mitigating the problem, but you will still lose some fundament because narrowing stereo width is making it a bit more mono so that you get less phase cancellation potential basically by killing a bit of the bass. However, at this stage of the production you have control about everything so that you can go and compensate for that bass loss with a Pultec EQ or alike. As a rule of thumb, you don't want to let the mono button kill essential information of your mix, but final decisions have to be done on taste and experience, whether you find cancellations acceptable for a more lively stereo experience or unacceptable for a higher mono compatibility. For all user manual ignorers, diff or difference and S as side is basically the same, while diff or difference is more British. We decided to go for the British term because it is technically more precise. Listening for the difference portion of your mix can be very informative and tell you something about missed potential or too much of something. In most cases you don't want to hear a super strong bass area on the difference signal. Usually your side signal shows a higher bass roll-off as your mono portion, unless you have super deep toms panned to the side.
I wanna know you. Do you want to know me too? I wanna get close to you. Feel your mind, feel your booty.
And sometimes you'll find good hints when listening to the diff signal to enhance your overall frequency distribution. When your diff signal carries no low mids, for example, you may have missed the opportunity to create some warmth on your side portion of the signal. And when you do mastering and you figure out that your sibilants are just sitting on the amp portion, while, for example, your overhead highs are a bit weak, It's a good idea to come up with a conclusion to just treat the sibilants on the M signal while enhancing the highs on the diff portion. You can just figure that out by using the M and the diff buttons. Last but not least, you will find a helpful tool in the balance meter to control your energy balance of your stereo mix. If you have a lot of inconsistent events going on the left and right channel, the meter will go a bit wild between left and right. You should not worry about that, as it is a result of your mix layout. But if you play a consistent spot and the meter sticks constantly to one side, you may want to check your energy distribution, especially of energy-intensive elements such as kick and bass. I hope that has inspired you to get the most out of your MAAT freebie plugin 2BusControl. If you don't have it yet, just get it on www.maat.digital.